Hello and welcome to today's Royal High video. Now, one of you, I don't know who because I lost the comment, but anyway, suggested that I should make something only using materials I already own. Now, you know, I couldn't just make the simplest item because, well, you wouldn't have watched that anyway, but it's me. I don't want simplistic, easy items, no. I like to choose the detailed, lace-covered things that make me rethink all my life choices and cause me immense stress. So that leads me here, making a Darling Valentina skirt only a month after finishing the Winter Guardian set. I think I might have an addiction to stress, or I might have the memory of a goldfish, but either way, I made the skirt, so let me show you how I made it, only using things I already had in my sewing stash. Starting off with the skirt pattern, the printed pattern you're seeing there is the exact same one I used in the Goth Lolita skirt video, and I'm creating a knee-length skirt pattern with it by tracing around the original and just increasing the length. I then made a second pattern piece that would turn the knee-length skirt into a floor-length skirt. I used this embroidered flower pattern fabric I'd been given 2 years ago for the upper half of the skirt, and this lace I received from the same person for the lower half. After that, I pinned the upper and lower halves together and ran that under the machine. Once both sides of the skirt had been complete, I pinned the front and back together and, of course, put that through the sewing machine. After getting it on the dress form, I quickly realised that this would be a trust the process type of project because this wasn't looking good. I wasted no time installing a waistband because once I have that out of the way I can work more on shaping the skirt and stuff, so I wanted this skirt to tie up instead of being elasticated, so I used this one odd shoelace I've had for like 7 years and fed that through the waistband. After I did that, I tried it out on the dress form again and it worked pretty good. I also shortened the bottom of the skirt to make way for the lace trims and ribbon I was going to add to the bottom. I started with this shimmery sheer ribbon and just sewed that around the whole bottom of the skirt, which was then followed by this lace trim that I had found in a charity shop last year. The last detail to add was this tiny lace trim I had received from the same person who gave me the fabric, and sew it on top of the seam between the lace fabric and the sheer ribbon. Moving on to the bows, I cut out 8 strips of ribbon. I also cut out 2 slightly longer strips of ribbon that will be used for the big bow on the top of the skirt. I forgot to mention I used fire to seal the edges of the ribbon. Just to make the process go faster, I used the sewing machine to turn all the ribbon strips into loops. I also can't remember what it's called, but basically if you have a bunch of things to sew, then you can just run them through the machine one after the other without cutting the thread until you're done, because it saves on both time and thread. And as you can see, it is a pretty fast way to get things done quick. Assembling the bows was pretty easy, just had to kind of crumple them up and then sew them into that position. Once all 8 of the small bows were done, it was time to tackle the big bow, and it's basically the same premise except I just had to work with 2 bits of ribbon. I pinned one of the bows to the skirt to give me an idea on how long to cut the ribbon. And once I had 8 strips, I cut and burnt all of the ends. Going back to the skirt, I hastily pinned more bows on to give me a guide on where to add the draped ribbon that goes around the whole skirt, which of course got sewn into place after. Going back to the bows, I simply just tied the sheer ribbon around the middle of the bow and then just secured that onto the dress. Also, I don't have any footage of it, but Bonnie really loved being a little skirt gremlin and just being under the skirt and just going under it. Using the same pattern I made right at the start, I alter it slightly to create the bustle. I'm just gonna call it that. The fabric I'm using here is actually left over from Starfrost, which was a year and a half ago. I tend to overestimate how much material I need for projects. I marked out where I needed to add ribbon and I sewed that all off camera. This table runner is left over from my very first Royal High cosplay. I know that there's actually a lot of you who don't know I've made the Miss Lady Rose set, since I made it before I started Royal High YouTube, and so it doesn't have its own series or anything, but it exists. But anyway, I'm cutting the table runner in half so I can use it as trim for the bustle. After it's cut, I sew two of the ends together. I lay the bustle back out and then pin the lace in place, and then that gets thrown under the sewing machine. I decided to clean up that edge with some binder's tape, and my needle actually snapped here. Like, watch, that thing's gone and I'm shocked. And don't worry, I did find the needle piece, so no bunny was in danger. Once that was all done, it was time to add in a waistband, and this time, this one will actually be elasticated. Now, I didn't want the waistband seam to be viewable, so what I did was fold the waistband over on the inside, and then sew it down where the ribbon strips were, so that you couldn't see the sewing thread stuff that I was doing there from the outside. Once the waistband was sewn out of sight, I then put some elastic through there, which was the same size as my waist. The elastic got sewn into place on either end, and then I also added snap fasteners on top of that. The last thing to add to the bustle was, of course, the big bow that goes on the front, and I recorded the whole process of this, but I'm just gonna cut it down anyway, and I just sewed that onto one of the ends. The skirt is basically mostly finished. All I need to do is sew in that draped ribbon that's there, which, poof, did it. And here is the finished skirt reveal, and there is definitely needs for improvement on this, because this just isn't quite giving. Obviously the challenge was to work with stuff that I had, which I did. The shape, I think it's more of the shape that needs fixing, so maybe having a longer crinoline skirt to kind of add structure to that very bottom bit. And then also with the bustle, I think I need to add a bit of poof to that, and then also add something to make the trim on the bustle kind of stick out, because it's just a bit flat there. I need to figure out a way to curl the sheer ribbon that's hanging off of the bows like it is in the game. Also here I'm just showing you that I have the Shadow Empress boots on underneath this to try and simulate the heel height I had in mind when creating the dress. But yeah, I think this could be salvageable outside of the challenge, so let me know if you want to see a video of me trying to fix the skirt. And also here I'm just trying to see if I can walk normally with it, which I just kept kind of standing on it. Also, if anyone knows how to curl sheer ribbon that isn't with heat, trust me, I tried like 3 different techniques to try and curl them with heat. It fell out every single time and I cut that completely out the video. But yeah, if you know any kind of like, I don't know, fabric stiffener or something like that will work to curl the ribbon or like hold up the lace trim that's on the bustle. But yeah, I would like to try and fix the skirt so I'm happier with it, because I would like to take it to conventions, or I don't know, I've been wanting to make the Darling Valentina skirt since 2020. But yeah, that will be all for today. If you're new here and want to see more or like better sewing, I do have a ton of playlists for like all of my cosplay stuff. Currently trying to reach 40,000 subscribers, so if you're not subscribed yet, then what are you doing? help the channel out, come on. But yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.